A Az.com production.
These small holes made by the nails will need to be patched before this wall can be painted. As will these holes made by these tap-ins will need to be patched before this wall can be painted.
Sand down the rough edges of the holes as needed. Using a putty knife, spread the joint compound over the hole, feathering it outward onto the surrounding wall.
With molly bolts, you first must remove the screw and then the collar is flush with the wall, so you need to tap it in a bit with a hammer.
Sand lightly and putty over with joint compound.
After you remove the fastener from the anchor, you are left with a sleeve embedded in the wall. There are three ways to deal with sleeves. You can cut the sleeve with a razor knife and make it flush with the wall. Or you can attempt to pull the sleeve out with a pair of pliers. However, if you're not careful, you can actually damage the wall more. Or you could simply take a hammer and tap the sleeve into the wall. With the toggle bolt, you first must remove the hook or whatever fastener you have on your toggle. And when you're done, you're left with a little threaded rod. The easiest thing to do is just push it into the wall. This does leave you a sizable hole, which you will need to take some paper that into the hole, and then you can putty right over the paper. I used an all-purpose joint compound to putty the hole made by the toggle bolt. As you can see, it shrinks up a bit as it dries and there's an indentation. Just add a second coat and putty over the hole again. Let dry before you sand.
Once a fastener is removed, putty over the hole. Let the compound dry and sand. You may need to putty again after the first sanding to fill in any imperfections. When you have a smooth surface, you're ready to paint.
An alternative to sanding is using a damp rag or sponge. Run the sponge or rag over the putty in a continuous motion until it's smooth with the surrounding wall. This works well for those with respiratory issues or who may be sensitive to sanding dust. I am converting this room into a space for my aquariums. I emptied the room and took up the floor. The next step was to remove the fasteners from the wall and repair the holes. This is where the toggle bolt was. I sanded the dry putty so it's smooth and level with the surrounding wall. This job required joint compound and a putty knife, a utility knife, pliers, and sandpaper. With the repairs complete, I am ready for the next step for this project, which is to paint the walls. If you have to repair a small hole but you're not repainting the room, take a chip of paint from around the hole, large enough to take to the paint store. Get yourself a sample-sized jar of the color and use it to paint over the repair. Thanks for watching.